The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
There it is. Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show. As usual, I am Barnzy, and this time I'm joined by Mrs. Barnzy. So Stu is busy being a good dad and being, being a chauffeur for the field trip for Brady, which is also his birthday. So
happy birthday, Brady.
Happy birthday, Brady. I'm going to share this out a little bit, and soon we will have our guest in. We hope he's got a title now, so he's already kind of big timing us. Not wasting any time. But Adam, good to see you. Not surprised you're here. You're our guy, Derek, Daniel.
Oh, what? Oh, hi. Long time no see.
So, Adam, a frequent contributor.
Yes. Appreciate your support.
Fashionably, it's hard to say. You know, Patrick Dombrowski, the good and the great. Appreciate you coming on. I think we have some last minute makeup or something that AJ's doing. I'm not sure what he's got going on there to, make sure he looked pretty for the show. But
so mean.
A lot of stuff going on last weekend in between. There was a few different regionals, a few different tournaments. There was a Planet Doubles up in Oklahoma City. I bowled the largest PBA 50 regional of the year by far, paid more than a regular national stop in Jonesboro. Some great hosts. They do a really nice job. They make it worth the trip of driving out to Jonesboro.
Thanks for the cookies.
Corinne and Stacy do a great job, but it shouldn't take as long as it used to take. So I don't know, just saying. He's here and he can't comment, so it's probably not.
This is kind of fun. Wait.
yeah, we with no further ado, we are going to bring in someone who we broke the rules for originally, because in general, to be on the Beef and Barnzy Show, you had to have a title. But because of his entertaining content, he was here before, but now he's here as an actual PBA titleist. AAJJ. How are you?
Even more thrilled now, listening to all the things.
Oh, it's just getting started. We're nicer than the commenters. So
StreamYard doesn't like Safari on Apple laptops. So getting it pulled up into Chrome was a bit of a hassle.
Yeah, I use Chrome myself on my laptop. I guess it's been a minute. So on the phones, it's okay. On
the phones, it works just great.
It's a much better picture when you use your laptop, and it kind of works.
Yeah, I did it. I did one. I think it was yesterday. They used StreamYard, and it pulled up on my phone with no problem. But on the laptops, they don't like Safari.
Huh. Derek, see you later. It's Thursday. Talk about come on my podcast. Lynda, you're also welcome. Probably if you don't spell her name right.
You get one, Derek. You get to do it once, and then we're not friends anymore. I know, autocorrect. I've heard it 1,000 times.
Chris Martin already. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Chris and Lynda with a Y or without a Y. Doing my driving for work down in Florida. Love your shows. Appreciate you, Chris. I appreciate you listening to you while you're driving on the road. Did I miss something? What happened? What's that?
303-414.
All right. I don't know. It's Patrick Dombrowski.
Hey, did you read that comment? Can we talk about that like right off the get-go? The exciting news?
Which one? Which comment? Where is
he? Well, he said he's getting his sleep before a little one gets here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Little boy, little man.
We found out Sunday. I was driving home. Actually, it was kind of during the weekend, and Allie called me and said, "Hey, I'm getting really antsy. I want to know." I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting antsy too." But we kind of wanted to do like a whole thing, and we were gonna wait until after the league, and then after I got back from Ottawa University doing stuff with them. And she's like, "Yeah, I can't wait that long." So we talked about it for a little bit, and she's like, "Let's, can we do something up here? We'll get your family come up here. We'll do it at the bowling center." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty fitting." And her best friend did wonders. She went to the bowling center. She got a full rack of pins, painted them in the color of the gender, decorated the bowling center, had everything waiting for us when we got there, and it was pretty cool. And then they had me throw a shot, and when the ball went through the pins, it was set on the second ball, so that when the rack reset a full rack of pins, it was in the color. So it was pretty cool. I was fully convinced that it was a girl, 100%. And when I found out that it was a boy, I was really excited.
Very cool. Congratulations to you both. We're excited for you.
Thank you.
Life is about to change.
Very much so. Very much so.
Hair sauce was late.
Aww.
Congrats on the first title. 03414. I don't know what that one is.
I want to know how life has changed besides the dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
a big change.
Yeah, that's a really big change. I don't know. Like I'm still coming, kind of coming to everything. And I've had a conversation with some people, and I don't know if it's like with the things that I've done before, like I don't know that it's just another one. Like I feel like that it's already happened and it's just another one, or if it's, the culmination of like, I've put in 7 full seasons of work, and for it to finally happen on top of the news of finding out that I'm going to be a dad. Like, I don't know. I don't know which direction it's all going, but it's just kind of all, it's pretty surreal. People told me, or used to tell me, that life happens fast. And I'm like, I think life happens, how you want to take it. And now I'm starting to realize that it happens fast. It's, we're getting things finalized for a house. Then this happens. Then the baby on the way, like everything is just happening relatively quickly.
It goes quickly. I'm sure you've heard that a lot already, but as the parents of 21-year-olds, it was just yesterday when we were finding out gender and trying to figure out how we were going to maneuver, how I was going to maneuver while he bowled. But yeah, it's so exciting. I know you guys will be great parents. I know she's fabulous, and you guys will do great. He's going to be very spoiled and loved by a lot of people.
Casey says have 4, then come talk to him. Got to figure out what's causing that pretty soon, Casey.
Yeah. Yeah, I told Allie a few times, I just want to, do everything right, and it's not going to happen, but I mean, it's just crazy. I didn't know, didn't really see all this playing out this way, but it is. And I'm excited. I'm the last male of my family, to carry on the Johnson name. So, I had a little bit of pressure. And my grandfather was, from what I could tell, it looked like he started to tear up a little bit, because it was going to be a boy and the name was going to carry on and everything. So
yeah, you guys are pretty much the last Johnsons left in America too. So
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been anymore.
Well, you name him AJ. Will it be AJ Jr.?
We don't know.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
Is it going to be Adam?
I don't know if Allie wants to do the junior thing, but because then you'd have 3 A's and 3 J's, and then it's just, it's just confuses
two
everybody.
2 A's and 3 J's. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his middle name would be Allen again, so there'd be another A in there.
Oh, so it actually is you're really AAJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the story, the AAJJ starts because the Masters, when you put in your entry, you have your name and then it has nickname. And for whatever reason at the Masters, they put in both. So he's
Don't know
Adam
why.
AJ Johnson. So it's Adam Johnson.
Mhm.
And because we also have AJ Chapman, we have EJ, we have DJ. There's 1,000 J's and with
EJ.
different. Yeah. So that's just how we differentiate. There's AAJJ, there's AJ, there's EJ, there's DJ, and there's
Yeah, I tried to tell them so many times, like, because when we bowl PBA events, it's just up there is AJ Johnson, and then when we bowl USBC events, they want to put
when
all.
I
the
signed
names.
up in the regional, I had my middle initial in for whatever reason because there was a couple of Chris Barneses in Wichita. I was on the sheet as Chris S. Barnes for about 17 years before they finally got it off.
Everybody just assumed it was senior.
Every other
Sorry.
every other thing, but because the software had 6 different versions, 7 different versions, whatever, it never came off that version. It just was. So,
and then when we were in Munich, that was when it really started. I bowled the Euro Challenge, and Dom, Stu, Osku, and Martin were all sitting together, and I walked by the table, and they're like, hey, come here. I'm like, what? They're like, what does the AJ stand for? And I'm like, I thought you guys already knew this. And they're like, no. And they're starting to chuckle. So I'm like, all right, what are you guys getting at? Like, I know there's something behind this.
Tough crowd.
And I said, well, the AJ is my first and last name. That's how I've gone by just AJ forever until I had to put my last name with stuff. And they're like, all right, so when you bowl events and it's up there, it's your first name twice and your last name twice. They're like, yeah, you're never living that down.
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm surprised I didn't catch on to the just AJ part. Just AJ.
Yeah, just AJ.
Just AJ.
That's what I was up until I think I got into high school when they're like, nah, you need your last name. And at that point, everyone knew me as AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, William Gannam hasn't popped on here yet. He's one of your biggest fans and instigators, but we haven't seen him in a while, truthfully. So he runs tournaments out of Clean.
Did he find somebody else to troll? Is that why?
I don't know. He must be maybe a different podcast. I'm not sure.
Oh,
so
it's that one.
Yeah,
that one.
It's who Ryan bowled with in the Ironman, and Ryan was less than pleased with his bowling strategies. So
I can
the 500 from 25 didn't really work out all that great. So,
do you want to talk about the show at all and how he won?
I did. Seen you won. Yeah, I'm just kind of going through all the commentaries. Did you do a 9? Did you 9 pin on the reveal shot? That would have been nice.
He bowls with me in league, and we have a running joke that no matter when I bowl at any point in time, I stone 9 more than anyone. So,
well, I'm sure you tell him about it anyway.
Yay,
Regina, how are
Regina.
you? AJJ, congratulations, AJ, congratulations. So that was just that was an order number that we had earlier from Patrick. So
order number.
Hey, I don't know what this guy's from Sweden. Thanks for joining us, Stefan. Lots of congrats. No PTQ at the TOC now. Well, we can get into this. What did you throw out there and the thoughts
so
on
happy about that? What I throw out there and thoughts on the new stuff. I threw a combination of the Jackal Ghost, the Coral Venom, and the Black Venom mostly. And then the Black Venom was what I ultimately used the last game against Jesper. And the new stuff so far, the new Pride looks great. It's a little bit bigger than the original Pride, stronger cover. It digs in the lane a little sooner, so it's I think it's going to be a little bit better piece for us on tour.
But we're a storm show here. You're going to have to give us a color.
Well, the Black Jackal is probably black.
Yeah,
The new Pride is orange and blue, so I
Orange and blue.
love it.
Okay.
That's my hometown colors.
All right.
And the Black Venom, I mean, that one speaks for itself.
The Venom.
The Coral Venom,
the Venom Shocks. Everybody knows the Venom Shocks.
Yeah, I don't know the Venom. The Jackal Ghost is the purple ghost. That's the purple one.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the new Pride looks great. I'm excited. I'm going to throw it on a little bit more oil so I can get a little more use out of it. But it's a bit stronger than the original Pride that we had, the orange and gray one. So I think with the tour oil that we use with the Brunswick machines and the rumors of higher volumes going forward, I think that'll be a ball that we use quite a bit. And then we have a new one coming that I don't know if I can speak on yet, but I know it's going to be publicly viewed at the league and maybe on the LBC show. So it's a new pro ball that we have coming out. I just threw it last night and I was pleasantly surprised with it.
You had a PJ and a TJ?
I already got them.
Yeah.
Right?
I think EJ and I were talking about it. We could almost fill 2 PBA league teams with just J names.
JJ.
You bring your girlfriend.
Allie will be there, baby and all.
Well, it's tough to not have it with her at this point.
Yeah.
Hope you're having a good time. Let's see.
Yeah, it was good. I got to play some good golf over the weekend. We played TPC Deer Run with some of my college buddies. That course is unbelievable. It's really cool to watch, to watch the tour guys and some of your favorites where they've played and then go and play a course and, see the shots that they hit and end up in the same areas. It's cool. It's really hard too. Those TPC
Alan Raleigh, I bowl a league with him on Mondays. AJ equals Stone 9 must run with the name. Chapman does his fair share too. Mark Baker always comments how hard a worker you are. Some big kudos indeed.
Bakes. He called me yesterday and we talked for about 40 minutes or so when I was driving back from Wisconsin. And it was good. Bake's a good dude, and I always look forward to getting out to go see him to get tuned up before the season.
Well, you get first swing at this now. Who are you passing your unofficial title, or do you pass it back to Martin Larson?
Well, whenever I was asked about this, my first response was always Martin. Martin's been out here a lot longer. He's made a lot of shows that I don't think a lot of people realize. And so I always tell everyone, I don't know how you guys forget about Martin and, all that he's done.
He just didn't bowl as much once he got injured, I think is kind of what happened. And
he still throws it great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still have Martin in that. And now, I mean, I think with the younger, man, I have to go through.
William Ganem is shaking in his boots. He can't make any more jokes about AJ not having a title anymore.
I think I just saw a comment in there from him that said his ears are burning.
There you go.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. The next one's in line. You got the Lavery brothers. You got AJ Chapman. You got one carload full of people right there.
Brad Miller comes to mind as well. There's a group of guys that just that have made quite a few shows that haven't, and it's kind of hard to really separate any of them out because they kind of all came out around the same time. They've all had the same amount of years, so it's tough. I'm still going with Martin. He's my favorite.
Mr. Eddie says, good morning, Chris and AJ. Congrats, AJ. So happy for you. He's a proprietor there at Lightning Strikes. He's been a host to some PBA 50 tournaments and lots of other tournaments.
I got a question for you.
Alan says the correct answer is Alan Riley. AJ, say it. Best bowler without a title. Okay, your question.
Yeah, my question. What did you do, or why do you think you won this one? What was different this time?
That's tough. I put in quite a bit of work before we had camp, maybe a week and a half prior to going over to Sweden. And I really, since we really didn't have much to prepare for at camp this year, we did a lot of team stuff together, with the whole week. But Brian had said that he really wanted everyone to kind of develop a little bit better individually and work on some things that they wanted to work on. And so I really tried to work hard on fixing some things that I felt like were causing issues before. And then actually, about a week before I left for Sweden, I hurt my back and couldn't really bowl. So I wasn't too happy about that. And I went over and saw my buddy, Paul, who he owns Fast Track Physio. And he did a couple things with me and got everything feeling good before I went over, and actually gave me some workouts prior to bowling that I did in the hotel room every morning with Allie laughing at me while I was doing them to get it all everything right before bowling. So that was a huge help. But I think from what I saw in the lanes and from what I like, how I like to play them, I think it fit really well. And I don't know. It's not, you'd like it to be, easygoing and clean moving all the way through an event. But I mean, it wasn't pretty getting there. It definitely wasn't pretty getting there, but I don't know. I think when I got into the finals, what I told myself, and I don't know that I've ever really verbally told myself this prior to this event. I actually heard Ricky Fowler say the same thing before. I think it was when he was in the final group for the U.S. Open. And I told myself, I'm like, you've gone 7 years, 8 years, whatever it is, and you've failed. Why don't be afraid to fail right now. There's no reason to. So just go do it. And I've never really verbally said that, because in all of my, my career and in everything that I've done, obviously in sports, but also, in life and school and everything, like I hate failing. And I can't stand it.
Don't know anybody like that.
Yeah. So I never really verbally said it. And it just, when I got into that those final matches, I just told myself, there's no reason to be afraid of failing because you've already done it.
A little context. The tournament in Sweden is basically, it's 10 days long. You bowl 6-game qualifying squads. The top ends up being the top 56 through a lot of different ways, make the finals. They ended up with over 900 entries. The top 20.
It was that many?
Yeah, 900 entries.
Holy cow.
The top 26 get a one-round bye in the finals. The rest bowl to the next 30, I think it is, and 14 advance to meet the first 26. Bowl 5 games. Ryan was in that one. He made it through that one, third or fourth actually, and then joined you and I and the other guys that got a bye. And those 40 bowled for 16 spots. You got just barely made it in. Actually, kind of scraped your way in.
That's scraped. Scraped is a nice way of putting it.
Was grinding. There's grinding. It was they were chopped up and they were pretty. The crosses were tricky. A little 20-lane center, and Ryan had hit him pretty hard again. Was third, I think, third or fourth, and you were, so it was 4 versus 13. You guys bowled each other. Then in 3-game total pin matches, you beat Ryan by 10 or 20. Then you went down to Prather and shot 820 and had the high set by. Although that whole round was crazy.
Scores were outrageous that round.
Yes,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
were all the way down on 19 and 20, so I couldn't see anything else that was going on. But I heard like the whole place was cheering, so I'm like, people got to be striking.
It took 740 to get out of every match or more.
Holy
In a tournament where 13-0 is what it took to make the cut with multiple attempts.
Yeah.
It took 215 to get out, and then all of a sudden it was crazy. 245 to get out of that match was the low score. And so and you obviously put up the highest one by any other match. It would have been 100, 150, it seemed like. But so and that was to get to the show. And at that point, and then the show went back to the same pair you bowled Ryan on, which was a lower scoring, pretty difficult, had some hang. Simo threw one that looked like an ace for 5, missed the head pin early, and it was you guys were both on 170, 160 with 3 frames to go, and you throw the back 5 for 190. He has to have the first hit in the 10th or second hit in the 10th. It made him double, and he got the first one on it, and then the second one was a light shaker, kind of tumbled and left the 10 pin, and then you bowled Jesper in the final, and so kind of a bracketed step final, and Jesper's kind of he dismantled Andrew Anderson. Andrew had broke his thumb right before. It was a well, it's not a comedy of errors when it goes like that, because it was a mess, but had to switch thumbs. It was really warm in the building. He did not clear any shots early.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Then afterwards, that his thumb had broken right before. He had to switch. The guy that doesn't have a bunch of them, and so it was tough. And he did not bowl a good game. And then the first frame against you,
Jesper 7-9.
Yeah, he's 7-9. He's throwing urethane from 20 on a 46-foot pattern. And it changed the whole match for him, because he got out of it, went to reactive, splits on the next shot, and you were not having a great go of it.
No,
Brooklyn,
I fortunately got a couple of good breaks. One of them was caused. I had torn my thumb open earlier, and the first shot, like I threw one, and for whatever reason, how the tape was sitting, it caught it just enough, and it went Brooklyn the first frame. And I sat down, I looked over at Allie, and I was like, that one hurt. And so I was trying to get my tape moved over, like the Hatta patch that I wear on my thumb. I was trying to get it moved over so it would cover some of it.
It was pretty warm in there. There was a lot of people in the building.
I don't know that I've ever sweat that much while bowling in a long time. It was
you don't bowl on the 50 tour. But but yeah, the fact it was 73 outside, but it was closer to 80 on that set inside.
It was humid that day too.
Yeah, and they opened the doors to try and create airflow, but all it did is made it humid, and so it was warm. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I
actually came back and changed pitches in a spare ball, because I'm like, I can't keep hanging up when it gets that hot. And it was warm. So you had a brook, you capitalized, then you had the 3-6-9-10, which is almost impossible, aced it, then had another brook.
Yep. And then left the washout right after it, and made the washout, which I don't know that I've made that in 5 months. So that was
right. So it ended up being a double in there too. So you had 2 doubles through 6 frames. You'd struggled to really kind of get feel for what's going on. And Jesper went 7-9, threw it bad with the first ball over there, then went strike, stone 9, strike. And you're like, this feels like it should be a 20-pin match, but it's the other way.
Right
now. And then you guys both settled in and bowled good the rest of the way, but you had the hammer and you were up on him, and you never really, you finished out the same way you did against Simo with good shots down the stretch, and didn't ever give him a chance to get back in it, which is exactly what you have to do. I mean, you bowl in those matches. There's lots of matches where there's good breaks or bad breaks go one way or the other, and if you don't take advantage, I do believe they all even out. But if you don't take advantage of the good ones, then They're not going to give them back on the bad ones.
Yeah, they don't give them back. And it was actually kind of funny. I told some people that asked me about that match and stuff, and I said when I glanced up at the monitors I think when I was getting ready to bowl the 9th, for whatever reason, when I just glanced up there, I thought there was an extra frame, how it was reading. And so I was like, oh, I go Jesper still, if he's on the out, he still has, a decent game. So I just, I got to make sure I can keep it out of reach. And then I did everything before I walked up to the ball return. I walked up to the ball return and I looked and I was like, oh, wait, we only have a frame and a half left. So I left the 10th in the 9th and I made it, and I turn around and Allie's losing it. And I looked at her, I go, did I just freaking win? And she's like, I'm pretty sure it's over. And it was like just the most like surreal out of body feeling, because that's definitely not how I thought the first one was going to go. As both of you know, that there are so many hard fought wins and losses and battles on TV. And I didn't think 220 was going to be a good enough game to win that match, especially with how Jesper was bowling. And
it's crazy. That 7-9 changed everything for him. That 7-9 changed everything for him.
Yeah.
If he only 7 pins, he probably doesn't change. Now he might have only shot 2-0 or 210. But you also wouldn't have been up 20 or 30 early either.
Sure.
Which does change, whether we like it or not.
Right. 100%.
When it's one shot match all the way through, it does. And so every once in a while they swing your way, even though it never feels like it sometimes.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of super chats. I want to get to these and cycle back through that. Adam's asked this a couple of times. Appreciate your patience. Don't you use the blue coral venom?
Yeah, actually, the blue coral venom has actually been one of the better balls for us this year with what we bowled on. And then when I went over in Sweden, the first block that I bowled, I didn't use it because I forgot that I had it with me, and I was using some of the other ones. And then when I was done that day, I went and looked at all my stuff, and I was like, oh, well, maybe if I put some surface on that one, like we'll give that one a look and see what I can get out of it. And that was actually the ball that I used the most. The next 2 blocks that I bowled, where I got a lot of my score out of, the block I bowled 190 some over, I actually used the blue coral the entire 6 games. So, I was glad to find that I brought that one with, because that was a good one. And I know EJ's used that one quite a bit this year on a lot of different things until he gets to the Venom Shock, which that's pretty much what most of us do.
Yeah, he's pretty good with that one.
Yeah.
Ron and Denise Thacker from Cloverleaf say hi. Best without a title, Mike Tang. Jesper throwing reactive. 600 RPMs with reactive is no joke. There has to be a little oil in the lane.
Yeah.
You forget how high his rev rate is. You see it in person. It's been a while since I've been all of you guys. I mean, it's just I know you have a lot of fans in the chat, but if you get a chance to go watch these guys in person, they're all phenomenal. I mean, this guy especially, but
it's been slower than those guys.
Yeah, but it's just amazing.
Yeah, yes, because he throws that pitch black and he uses black grips. You can't really tell.
Yeah.
And then he throws a reactive ball and you go, oh.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's what even Stu and Dom said. Oh, his ref rate's 600. I'm like, it's not 600. And then somewhere he threw one of those balls that was 2-color, and I went, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. We see him throw urethane all the time. And it doesn't look that way. And then he grabs one of those, and you're like, oh, okay.
That's the deal.
Jerry Mars says, throughout the years, hard work pays off. Told you Monday, we're proud of you.
Yeah, it was cool. I bowled league last night, sports shot league, and yeah, it was cool. Jerry bowls in that league as well, and a lot of people coming up. It was fun.
How much practice do you typically do when prepping for a tournament? What do you think?
Well, the last 5 years, none.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for her to dust off the bowling balls and come out there.
She's bowling again.
You guys give me the itch. I'm ready. I'm shooing up a little bit
throwing
here.
14 pounders and bowling a little bit each week, kind of building up.
Lucy,
Yeah.
So gonna come back and bowl the Lucy.
That is my goal, is to be able to bowl with my kiddo one time. But I want to be good enough to bowl with him. I don't want to be I don't want the sympathy mom vote. I want to bowl because we can compete. So I'm putting some work in.
It's keeping me practicing too. So I know he can get better partners now, but you know. So how much do you practice? Like your lead into, because you had a pretty good break between the PBA tour and Sweden.
Yeah.
So what did your lead up to Sweden look like?
To
get ready.
So after the season was over, you know, I do like to take some time away. Got to take advantage when the weather is nice up here in Illinois, you know, and it's not cold or rainy like it is today. So go play some golf and get outside with my niece and nephew, you know, and all their sports. I enjoy watching them, you know, helping Mason in any way I can. And he had to deal with a little bit of adversity this year with baseball stuff. So my sister said, can you please come and talk to him and make him tell him that everything's going to be okay, and just to keep fighting for, you know, everything that he wanted to do. So it was fun. And then, you know, like I said, I was very fortunate that we had Team USA camp. So we bowled.
That's right. You did get a week of lots of bowling.
Yeah. That was, I mean, as both of you guys know, I mean, we start at 9 a.m. and we don't walk back to the hotel till almost 7 o'clock.
Now that I think about it, that was one of the things I'm like, man, these guys haven't bowled in a while. Some of the guys do like to take a lot of time off. Chris, you know, is a guy who likes to take a ton of time off until there's something to go on. Like, but he showed up looking pretty. He looked pretty good, and I'm like,
yeah,
he's kind of Wes used to be like that, but Wes when he came back didn't look so sharp for a little while and would bowl his way into it. And Prada looked pretty good. And that makes I didn't think about the fact that you, Andrew Anderson, who else was on that group? Was over in Sweden? Were you the only three actually?
Troop.
Oh, Troop, and he was in the final 8. He bowled Simo to make the show.
Yeah,
and they had the best match. It was actually both of them shot 700 in that match. Yeah.
Andrew actually didn't come to camp. He was rehabbing kidney stones.
Oh,
he didn't want to fly with that going on. And he was in a lot of pain prior to that week. So it was a little rough. Say,
that's no joke. Yeah, and if you know, Eileen, which is what I call Andrew Anderson, didn't have any versatility drills lined up to help him after he broke his thumb. I so wish Stu was here right now.
Where is Stu?
He's you missed it. He's on a field trip this morning.
Oh,
he has to take Brady's
nice.
class. He's a driver. So he's being a good dad. And I guarantee he wanted me to push this back a couple of days so that so he could be on this one, especially with his buddy William. And I think we skipped over William here somewhere because we were talking about you know how Sweden went. But the best Barnes is on.
But no, to go back to what we were talking about too. So like obviously it was, you know, some of us were fortunate to have that, but typically like if we get some time off, I like to practice about a week to a week and a half before an event comes up. You know, I had a little bit of an unfortunate thing with my back that happened, but even with my back hurting as bad as it was, I still tried to bowl, you know, league. I still went and tried to go practice a little bit just to make sure that I could still move the way that I needed to. But before the tour season starts, maybe it's a little bit further out. So maybe 3 weeks or so. And it, you know, it's 2-3 hours at a time for 3 or 4 days out of the week, just to get the sharpness level where it needs to be. And obviously I go see Bakes before the tour season. And then during the season, it's just kind of maintenance, or if there's an issue, then I try to hammer it out at some point when we get a break.
I'm going to ask the question.
Again, I'm backtracking here,
Oh, yeah.
by the way. I never hated, always threw in the digs,
Oh.
and sent my private message to congratulate him. Never hate.
He did send me a message.
No. This is our show. You guys hate each other, and this is how it is. And I can't believe that he doesn't have enough backbone to jump in there and, you know.
Well, you guys hate each other, right? That's a story too. That's a story.
Yeah. Well, not, you know, to be fair, you actually are here now. So
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's
it's hard.
right.
Or you're back.
You're back.
Yeah. I mean, now you can be back because you've actually been here.
Yeah,
it's hard to be back to someplace you hadn't been to yet. But I was confused. And it's okay. Well, you know, who do you think I am? You are whatever. You know.
Yeah.
It just came out. That's like I hadn't bowled on for a singles title for a hot minute, so it just came out.
Yeah, well, obviously Pete kind of you know, word order matters. I guess Patrick Mahomes figured out that actually you know, punctuation matters.
Great catchphrase.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Okay, my question, because I know, and I'll be brutally honest here. I'm going to bring it up. The negativity that you say out loud sometimes. I know you've worked really hard with sports psychologists and different people. How do you, like, what do you do? How do you try and translate that? Or how do you work that into your motivation to be a player?
For me, and I've had conversations with Brian Kane about all this.
Yeah.
And I talk about all that stuff with him. And it's trying to flip the script, and you can't let it build, and trying to have something to go to once you get it out, that it gets left where it is. And so there are, you know, obviously in the short time that we have in between shots and things like that, like they tend to fall into one another. And sometimes it's, you know, it's easier to get it out, and sometimes it's a lot harder to let them go, you know, prior to, and they snowball a little bit. But I've, like, even back when I played other sports, like, I get it out, and once I get it out, I have something that I go to that allows me to go back to the present moment, you know, whether that's something in my pre-shot or just something that I do, you know, wiping it away or whatever. And I told Kane, like, you know, I struggle, especially with the amount of time that I've gone with, you know, feeling like I haven't done a whole lot. I struggle with letting some things go, and it's hard. I
think that's important to acknowledge.
Yeah, 100%.
That you have to get it out. Some people get it out different ways. I used to write it down on paper and throw it away. You know, people do it differently. And I think sometimes people get really judgy, myself included, sitting in the back and going, well, why does he do that? Well, he does that because that's what works for him.
Yeah. And I, like, some ways I get it out in much better ways. And there's other times where it's kind of festered a little bit from things prior, that it comes out a little bit worse. And all of it is all, you know, aimed at myself. You know, my father will say it. Allie will say it. Everyone around, like, everyone that's in my family or close to me, they're like, man, you gotta be nicer to yourself. I'm like, yeah, but walk in my shoes. And so, like, that's a little bit, like, selfish on my part. I've looked at that and said, like, you know, feeling like I'm the only one that goes through it. Well, we've all gone through it. Mm-hmm. And when you get into, like, a lot of these darker places that I've gotten to over the years, you know, there was a time not too long ago where I told my family, I don't want to do this anymore. And it had just gone on for years and years. And any time that I felt like I voiced any of that, people would just get mad at me. And I'm like, why are you getting mad at me for telling you how I feel and what I'm feeling? And so then that would make me mad, and that would cause me to be even more upset than what I already was with myself. And so a lot of those things just kind of build up, and at certain times it comes out differently or worse than other times. But, during competition, like I get it out of myself and say, AJ, what the hell are you doing? Like, dude, just do it. You know what you have to do. Just do
One
it.
interesting thing, obviously been out here for a long time now. I've been at different crossroads with different people and different roommates over time that they get to the point of, you know what, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And once you kind of get okay with that, sometimes it relieves some of that weight that's hanging over the top of you. I roomed with Brian Smith for 8-9 years. And on the way to Reno, he was like, yeah, I'm about done. And then he won the Masters that week in Reno. And, sometimes getting to a spot where you're not building more pressure on, that you're just, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do it the best I can. But, I'm okay now with moving on if this doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And it frees you up to kind of be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's right, but I've seen it happen now a few different times.
Yeah.
And it is an interesting phenomenon how quickly that can turn once you get, hey, life will be okay if this doesn't end up being what I want it to be.
Yeah. And
a baby will change everything. Just saying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and obviously there was a lot of help with that. I mean, and realizing that I'm going to be a dad. And it was kind of funny. The guy that drills my stuff actually told me before I left, he's like, it may not have been the way you all planned it out. He goes, but I think this is going to be one of the best things to happen to you. And I think it's going to change a lot of things for you and for the better. And he goes, and it may be what you needed to finally win. And then I fly out to Sweden the next day and I win in Sweden. So it was like, it just totally.
I'm going to backtrack it a little bit and say Allie might have been the best thing that ever happened to you. Go, Allie.
Yes.
That girl should support you 100%. Yeah.
She came out
because you deserve to get that win. It was always eye of the beholder. There's probably a few other wins you deserve to have that didn't work out that way. Right. Jesper probably doesn't feel quite the same about that.
Probably not. No, but no, it's I actually had a conversation the other day on the phone with Kane, and it was, and I got a lot of some of those things out with him and told him, and he said, all that's part of the process. He goes, I just was on a phone call with Corbin Burns, pitcher for the Brewers, and and he's telling me how terrible a pitcher he is, and how he doesn't know how he's pitching in the majors and all these other things. And he's going on and on and on about all this stuff. And he said, it's all part of the process. And he said, the fact that you recognize it and and he said it in, as long as in the moment, it's happening and you have something that you can go to get rid of it, then it's okay. Tiger Woods said one of the best things when he was helping Charlie, the announcers were covering Charlie when he got mad at a golf shot, and they asked Tiger, how are you going to teach him to do that? How are you going to have him handle those things, like you did when you played? And he goes, I was one of the angriest golfers out on the course at myself. And he said, and I tell Charlie that, he goes, you can get as mad as you want at that shot, say whatever you want, get mad at yourself, whatever. He goes, but by the time you get up to the golf ball for your next shot, he goes, you better be prepared for that shot, and it better be the most important thing, and it better be more important than breathing. I don't really go that far, but
yeah, tough to hit that shot without the breathing part.
Yeah,
but you do get the point.
Yeah,
Alan, I know you'd rather be Stu and Lynda. I got it. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way, AJ, but I don't think he's talking about you.
That's fine.
So,
hey, Michael, bring on the vacation. Let's go.
From Scotland. Thanks, Duncan. Dunk. Yeah, there's a rumor. There's all kinds of rumors. So,
I'll just be quiet. I got nothing to say there.
Pleading the fifth.
Yep. There might be one of those in a closet somewhere, but or two. But Yeah, I
with
think
a
it's
smile.
important to talk about all this stuff, AJ. I know, it's a learning, trying to figure out how to deal with everything. I think everybody does it differently.
Yeah, 100%.
Dave says we need to get to Bermuda sometimes. This is a good one, and this is one of Tommy's how he deals with it. Pressure is a privilege, and
Kane tells me that all the
and that's a
time.
way to kind of spin that whole thing instead of it being weight piled on top of you. That it's that it's an honor to be there, and that takes some of it off. So
I love those moments. That's when you feel most alive. The pressure.
Oh yeah,
Give me the ball. Let's play.
There's not many things in life where you get that feeling, where you like are in something and you need that shot, or you're in the final match, or whatever the case may be. You don't get to feel that feeling very often, and when you do get to feel it, it's amazing.
Yeah, not everyone is fortunate to have a good father, nor have great parents. You and Allie will make great parents. Speaking of great parents, I'm big fans of yours. Your dad is literally a rocket scientist, and
yep.
I wish I could have seen your parents when you won. That would have been awesome.
And your mom is the ultimate mama bear.
It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. We invited my parents over the night before we flew out to Sweden, and Allie came upstairs early, and she had the string of pictures of the ultrasound, and she hung them from the fridge. And then she went over and sat on the couch, and I'm talking to my mom here in the living room, and my dad is standing at the island, and I can see the reflection of my dad in the patio the patio door, and he walks over, looks at the fridge, walks away, walks back, looks at the fridge again, walks back to the island, then walks back again, pulls his glasses down and like gets real close, and then looks and goes, "Hey, what's this?" And I'm like, "What's what?" And Allie is rolling in the couch. She's laughing so hard because she's watching this whole thing play out. And then he walked back over and he's like, "That says Allie, and this is a picture of a baby." And my mom lost it immediately. She started crying, and she was like, "Are you guys serious? Like, really?" So yeah, it was an emotional night. That was cool.
So you went to McKendree. What'd you get your degree in?
My degree?
Yeah.
Sports management.
Okay. So your dad's a rocket scientist.
Yes.
Are you adopted?
My dad graduated with an aeronautical engineering degree from the University of Illinois. Yes, I know. My dad also got a 35 on the ACT, so I didn't come anywhere close to that.
No, be fair, neither did I.
Yeah. Not many people do. Just
saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
To Neil.
I don't know. I didn't get that part. I'm fully aware.
Your mother's son on that end. I don't know your mom's background. That feels mean now, but
yeah.
I don't know what
my mom didn't go to college, so she took a couple. She took a few classes. She got some of the community college ones out, but yeah, not. Definitely didn't go to the University of Illinois for an engineering degree. That was not the route I took.
Yeah, once you survive living in Illinois, I mean, you're in the Chicago area and you haven't been shot. So I mean, I guess that's you've already.
I'm way away from that. I'm out where you got country on one side, you got the town on the other, and I don't deal with none of that city crap.
Yeah, it's kind of like most of us. It's they're out in the suburbs somewhere. This is you've seen bowlers like Kevin McCune use strong reactive balls with lower pins and stronger pin to PAPs with lots of speed. Have you thought about experimenting with those shapes? I would say we've probably all experimented with versions of that. And you're closer than most to being able to do some of that if you wanted to. But I think you already do. I mean, I think you already use stronger pins because you're a little bit speed dominant, despite the fact that, like McCune, your rev rate's really high.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I use a lot of taller pins now. We started doing that, I think, in 2022. and it worked out really well. I had a great season with throwing bowling balls that had taller pins like that. And it was more so of helping the ball get through the front of the lane, but get it to stop going right at some point in time. And the taller
helping it
pins
to flare
really
and giving
helped
you a
with
little
that.
bit more shape down lane.
Yeah,
And then just making sure the pins and the surfaces are strong enough to slow the ball down.
correct.
That's all any of us are doing. We're trying to fill in the gaps of what our physical game likes to do and get balls to kind of fill in those gaps. And so,
yeah, 100%.
At this point, at 30 years in and 8 years on tour and 4 years at, with O'Keefe and those guys at McKendree, there's probably not a lot of stones that have been left unturned.
100%. We have tried to find every which way possible to try and get the most out of what I'm trying to do, or get balls to shape the right way. I mean, there was definitely a learning curve coming out of college and bowling on tour. Big learning curve.
Always is. It's hard to recreate the field.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
with sports management degree, then what does the PBA need to do different to progress the sport of bowling? Oh, that's an easy question. Hey, we got about 2 minutes left, so go ahead and wrap that whole thing up if you could in that time. We've had some really smart people. We've had Microsoft guys. We've had ESPN guys. We've had Real Talk. We had Rob Glazer. We've had Sloan. Now we had Bolero execs and guys that are really good at making money. And if it was easy.
We need to get the companies that have a lot of money, that like to throw a lot of money into golf, throw that money into bowling, some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and whether it's tying into charities, a little bit different, which is something we've talked about but haven't done. I don't know how exactly that they work those relationships. If it gives the companies an excuse to tie in goodwill and that, but it's certainly, we create a lot of money for Bolero through marketing and through that TV show, which is the first time that's happened. So hopefully some of that can come back towards the PBA prize funds and help you guys make a living, moving forward. Real quick.
Absolutely.
I'll probably bring one with the reality. I won't be bringing both of them, not in a 5-ball arsenal plus my spare ball. So, but there will be a lot of 900 global balls. Our lineup's pretty strong right now. So, Reality, Eternity Pi, Exponent, Zen Gold, and then
I gotta say, when I saw that Eternity Pi, I was like, "Oh man!" I go, "Did Storm re-release the lock?"
Yeah, it looks like a lock.
Man,
lock or Sherlock. I'm not sure. It was before I was able to throw them, but it rolls pretty good too. It has a lot of similar characteristics. So
that was my favorite.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Oh yeah, Larry Verbal says, don't forget the Nike guys. Yeah, the Nike guys in there too.
Yeah,
running it for the Microsoft guys. We didn't lack juice or brain power.
you had
That's
the
for
NASCAR
sure.
guys in too with USBC for a while. A couple of them.
Yeah,
And BPAA. Yeah.
Sean is a rocket scientist. Have him take a crack at running the PBA. They'd be the new.
I'm sure he's got some ideas.
Oh, of course. Yeah, he's always.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Yeah. Every time the lottery comes around, when it's big money and when it's super high up, my dad's like, if I win, first thing I'm doing is buying the tour.
There you go.
Alan Riley. This ought to be great.
It always makes me nervous when his name
putting
pops
you
up.
on spot. Of the 4 Barnzes, sounds like a circus act, the traveling Barnzy. Which would you prefer to bowl a tournament with, a doubles tournament? I know the 2 I'd pick, and it doesn't rhyme. It doesn't rhyme with Schmiss and Schmeyen.
Nice.
Man, he's such a tool.
We had a great summer league.
There you go. We got you a new job, Sean. Congratulations. It doesn't pay much, but the work and hours are long.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure the bowlers won't give you any flack either. They're
Yeah.
all so easygoing and supportive.
Speaking of my favorite, Johnson. So there we go.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. It took him a while to get on.
Jed, congratulations. Got to know you in bowling college. Competitive and a lot of heart. Great win and many more to come.
I definitely think with this one, it's kind of given me that, like it can happen. When before I'm like, I don't know if this really, I don't know if it can. What is going on? And so now, like, my whole mind of just bowling it's just changed a lot. And trying to just.
I think you might have been the only person that didn't think it wouldn't happen. I know, and I know you said you get tired of hearing that, but we all see how talented and great you are. And hopefully now you'll buy into it yourself because you got proof.
Yeah, it is one of those things, though, as everybody says it. The worst thing about having that unofficial best player without a title is you get all the pressure of a guy with titles with none of the benefits. So,
right.
Yeah. Or the confidence that comes with, hey, not only do I think I can do it, I have the proof. I have the receipts.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I have the trophies. They're sitting there. So I know I can. And I can always, if I doubt, I can always go, hey, I did this.
Yeah.
I've already done this. Yeah.
It can happen again.
Yeah, you don't have to prove it. Now it's just doing it again. It's not so. One of the most athletic games on tour. I knew you were the man. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously talent. But the one thing about the tour is basically everybody out there has the entry fee.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of guys that throw it good.
Yeah.
AJ Chapman has plenty of skins on the wall. That says, hey, I'm a good bowler. I've been a good bowler for a long time. Team USA, all these other things, junior, college awards, those kind of things. It's big rev rate, straight arm swing, but it hasn't worked out yet. He's made shows too. And it's always great, but at some point
it's hard to win on our tour. I mean, getting there.
The top guys right now aren't sharing.
No.
I mean, the top.
It's always been that
the
way
top
now.
3 made every major TV show, and Simon never finished out of the top 10. So he was, which is the most
amazing
undercovered part of our whole. I mean, EJ's season is fantastic, and he's going to win Player of the Year because he won 5 times.
100%.
But
what Simon did.
But the players on tour know that even as crazy as winning 5 times is, finishing the top 10 every week may be the most incredible thing to happen on tour.
Yeah.
I don't think you could bowl in your league and finish in the top 10 every week. I'm serious.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think the only other crazy thing that I remember reading about was about Mark Roth and the amount of consecutive cashes that he had. And then he didn't cash one week and missed the cut by like 4 pins and then went on another 30, 40 week string right after it.
Yeah. Robin Romeo had 80 some, I think, or 80, 90 tournaments. She has the longest one ever.
Phenomenal.
And
that's incredible.
Yeah. The one thing about Mark's with cashing is the fields were big. So that doesn't make it that much easier, but there is a lot, when there was 160 people in the field and there's 53 caches.
Right.
It's still incredible because there's no weeks off.
Right.
You can't get fooled. You can't have a week where you're just like, or injures or anything else. But it's
what Simo did this year. And then we take a break from the tour season and have one last final event that, counts for our tour. And he still finishes in the top 10.
And does it again.
It's incredible. And I agree with you 100%. I don't think it was covered and talked about enough.
No.
When someone has a year like EJ has, it's easy to. I get it.
You can't not vote for EJ with 5 wins because
absolutely
winning is the most important thing. But and it certainly pays the best as well. But somebody like me who valued versatility and being able to be in contention every week, and it's important maybe more to me than it is to other people, but I strove to have that season every year.
Yeah.
And I came close a few times, and I felt like I had a pretty good run, but I never had a season like that. It's just with no week off,
No.
no bad break week, no early, because there's some match play weeks. There's all kinds of things that can happen inside of a season, and it's incredible. So,
And to have it where years now where we're, the events are so much more limited than they were in the past. I mean, I think that's with what EJ and Simo did. I mean, I think that's just even more impressive because it's such a short run of our season and less events than what you guys had, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, we had 20 events mostly in that range.
Yeah.
Most of the time. We had 26 my first year, and that was the most events that we bowled in a season.
When did the 36 weeks, when did that stop?
Oh, that was with ABC Sports when they were paying all the production costs and all that.
Gotcha.
We were getting basically ABC Sports was paying the PBA to have shows. And so 36 weeks, I don't know that it actually happened much. Not all of those were televised.
Okay.
When they had 36 weeks. I think they had 24 shows, give or take.
Yeah.
The women had 3 8-week swings that
Yeah.
we would bowl throughout.
And I think we had like 12, 8, and then like 6 or something in the summer. But a lot of times that summer would be like ESPN or something else.
Sure.
Buff, yeah, it actually was 1 to 3 in the Roth era. Majors were 1 to 4, but it was 1 to 3 for 50 some years. Basically up until we went to the exempt tour.
Mm-hmm.
So, I believe we did. What changed for you to win after knocking on the door? I think all of us at some point went through the same thing with relatively few exceptions. Only a couple of guys get to win early. And even when it's perceived early, Tommy was like, oh, he came on tour and he won. Well, for a year and a half, he actually made, he was out there for a while with very little success. The shows he made, he didn't bowl very well, and then it flipped, and then he won 10 times in 2.5 years.
He's unstoppable.
Oh, he always won. That's not really how it worked.
Yeah.
So,
and the details.
I think this is important because I think it's a lot of, it's different for everybody to some degree, but there are some commonalities in there. So I'm going to let you talk about it for a second.
You let me talk about it?
Yeah, you guys.
What are we talking about?
It's hard to pinpoint, this one thing or this, couple things, because I always felt like my entire career professionally, and then also before, I've never stopped working hard. I've always worked extremely hard to try and figure out ways to win at every level that I bowled, youth, high school, college, regional level. Like I've dominated in some way, shape, or form for a certain time frame. And it was because of that. I constantly worked at everything, and I haven't changed any of that. But I think going forward, I think it was just that, I had a lot of conversations at Team USA camp with Bob Learn and Kim, and just some of the guys. And it's just some of the harder conversations that I think you have to have. And then on top of it, and I said earlier, telling myself, you've done this so many times and it failed. Why be afraid of it now? Just do it.
I know sitting behind you, and obviously I was close, so I could hear you sometimes. And I have a guy that has some negative self-talk and different things. And, as a sports psychology major, there's times I wanted to grab you and shake you and go, AJ, you got this. Like, you're great. And I think, and that's where you get that feedback from everybody that says you're going to win. And when it does, and I agree with everybody, I think the floodgates will open if you'll allow it to open. And that's, my little 2 bits, but so many people are rooting for you and cheering for you, and everybody knows how hard you work. And I think, what you can pass on to the next generation, like I'd be curious what you would what kind of advice you would give to Ryan or the kids that are coming out on tour? How do they maybe speed up the process that you went through?
That's a really good question. And I don't know that I've ever, I've tried to have those. I've tried to talk about that. I do, I'm going to visit Ottawa University. And so I try to talk about the things that I've experienced and gone through. And going from college to the tour it's a huge difference. You're in college and you can, once you figure it out, you just start slinging it. And it's just like it just happens and everything is good. And when you get to the tour, everybody does that.
Right.
And figuring out a way to follow the transition of guys that have the same rev rate as you, some that may have a little bit higher rev rate than you. That's a huge part of it. Seeing how those guys play the lanes and having to follow that it was a tough task at first. And I can sit here and try and tell, whoever it is how to manage that. But until you experience it and you see it for yourself, it's like, that's the biggest teacher. That's the biggest way to learn. And I had to go through it. I had to bite the bullet. I had to take it off the chin a few times to really understand, all right, this is what I need to do in order to be successful out here so that these guys don't take my lunch money every week.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how many times I heard there's some things you just can't learn unless you're out on tour. You just can't learn anywhere else.
And the other part of it, like that I've started to get a lot better at over the last, I would say probably from like the end of 2019 through now, was getting better at managing my time at what I'm doing. When I'm out on tour, trying to manage everything the best that I can and dedicating certain times to go and to do things. Number one, taking care of the body and your mind, and then dedicating time to go and work on things, that you may need to. And then, obviously just the mental part of it is just, that's an ever learning process. That's the hardest thing to manage. That's for sure.
Yeah. Patrick Dombrowski said, thanks again for the chat after the Masters show. Your dad says sometimes the man upstairs says today is the day and the work's going to pay off. Yeah, here he is. ABC in winter, ESPN in summer, NBC in the fall, most of the 80s, all on TV. Actually, I'd forgotten about the NBC part. So we actually bounced around a little bit there for a while.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, that's. We have a super chat. D-Rocks, appreciate it. First PBA regional in Clinton, Iowa in November. Suggestions on controlling early nerves.
Well, I'm glad you have them, because if you have them, it means something to you.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. But having, just stick with your process, stick with what you do. Obviously breathing helps everything, and kind of it helps clear the mechanism, clear your head. And obviously, and getting a good practice session in has always helped. At least for me, it's always helped prior to an event. If I feel good about what I'm doing and feel good about how I'm throwing it, then usually, no matter what I see in an event, I feel like I have a better control over what the lanes are asking of me. So, yeah, I mean, get good practice in, and then just having, like I said, having that, that process that you go through to just help keep you where your feet are, and you'll do just fine.
For me, I always try and think about it. The lane's still 60 feet, still 10 pins. The only thing that changes is my nerves about it. Acknowledge the nerves and then go back to the process. What am I here to do? And those nerves, I always love that feeling. I'm like, all right, here we go. We're ready. We're living. Like that's what I'm here for, is for that adrenaline rush. But it always goes back to, like you said, process and what do I need to do? 60 feet, read the lane, match up to the lane.
Yeah, basically they'll simplify it, stupid thing.
Keep it
simple.
stupid. Keep it stupid simple.
Keep it stupid simple. Yeah, whatever the one
Fred
is.
Borden, come on, Fred.
But yeah, it's really refocusing on the things that are at hand. Fortunately, I don't get real nervous for a lot of the other things, but the shows, there's still way more adrenaline in those moments. And it's easy to get distracted by cameras and, noises and every, crowd and everything else going on. And, first place prize check or the interview afterwards or, all craziness. And, and you really have to I used to see Norm do it all the time. You do just keep it here. Just keep centered.
That's what that hand gesture means.
Keep it here and
right.
Focus on this.
Nobody's ever seen him do any of that ever.
No, that's a different thing. But
redirecting traffic, air traffic control.
Yeah, just watching which way is my ball going to go this time. But really just staying focused on the thing, be present. There's a lot of different terminology for it, but really keeping it down to one goal at a time. And if your mind's going everywhere, then instead of trying to clear it completely, just focus on one thing and keep your mind occupied on trying to accomplish this goal and then make moves. And then it's the same as bowling on the game's no different than it is on Thursday Night League. It's just,
I pulled a SASBA a couple of weekends ago and I was as nervous as I've ever been. My knees were shaking coming, and we were just trying to make the stepladder finals. I was a nervous wreck. It was fun. It was a rush.
I was more nervous throwing the shot for the gender reveal than I was when I was in Sweden. Right? So let's.
You don't want to miss that one.
No.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, and we've had some other. I've had some more input, but it sounds like the ABC and those deals, NBC deal ended in '94, is when all that happened. So that's when the scale of tournaments really started to come backwards, because then we were paying for the TV spots. And so we had to go to a much different model there. Paid way less. The tournaments paid less themselves because we were paying for the TV time and then had to sell our own advertising to make it work. So.
Great questions.
Adam, thank you once again. This is a really good question. So a lot of people talk about touch at the bottom. What do they mean by touch?
Grip pressure.
Yeah, I think it's different for different people, but and you're more aggressive than some as far as that goes. But that touch is, I think that's the correct, probably the best way to explain it is it's just grip pressure at the bottom. You're trying to be nice to it at the bottom to get the ball to go long. You're trying to, I really want to make it pick up. So my grip pressure's strong, like a really strong handshake, or overly strong handshake with somebody you don't like, versus, I think one of the things like Mike Albee used to talk about is push away was like handing it to a small child. And so his push away was always soft and fluid and smooth, which led to him being a little softer speed wise and then being good to it at the bottom. Let him flow into the whole thing easy like that. So a guy like Mark Baker, super athletic, was one of the stronger guys on tour, relied on that athleticism. So not quite as soft with it at the bottom. By touching he was knocking the holes out of it if he could.
Yeah.
So.
I've always felt, getting that you're feeling the bowling ball to a way that allows your hand to relax as much as possible, to where you feel like you don't have to have that squeeze or whatever on it, so that when you do release it, it's clean. And it's almost like a feeling of like, you don't even know it's coming off your hand. It just happens.
Like we talked to Troy about touch a lot because he's an all in all the time kind of kid. He's grabbing it. So we're like, you got to get, like you said, get a little softer, get a little looser, but you still got to match up to the lane, because if the lane's asking for something different, you got to touch whatever the lane wants you to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mike, this is why I love you guys. People tell me I'm touched, but I guess that's something different. Pete, who used to have, a ton of rev rate, and then the balls changed. I mean, he went from urethane where he had a ton of rotation and made him hook down lane when nobody could, very few people could make him hook down lane, to reactive balls that did that automatically. and he went through 2 years of basically not, he could barely cash for a couple of years. Retooled his game completely, knocked 35% off his rev rate, and started doing basically reinvented his game, missed it at the bottom every shot, and then made the Hall of Fame again, throwing it that way.
It struck every time.
It's pretty incredible, actually. So, yeah.
That
This
was
has been a lot.
everyone tried to recreate before everyone else came through. Everyone was like, "Oh, I got to do Pete."
Mm-hmm.
Well, there for a while, there wasn't a ton of oil in the lane compared to how strong the balls got with reactive. And so it went the other way. You got more forward in the thumb, and everybody was trying to be nice to it to get it down the lane. And so it didn't overhook. And, it created this exactly. Less is more, is that less grab in the front, it equaled more reaction and more energy at the back of the lane. And so now we're getting back to more oil, down lane, with some earlier friction. And so you're with the two-handers now the one-handers are going to more reverse in the thumb, trying to clear it quicker so they can try and get their rev rates up and try and find ways to compete that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how the cycles just kind of go back around, because at the end of plastic and urethane, there was a lot of that. As the power players, as Mark Roth era took over, straighter players are going with more reverse, trying to clear it a little quicker so they could get it on the lane and catch it a little more, get it on their fingers only a little faster. So,
absolutely.
Well, we've had you on here for an hour 20 already, and I appreciate you coming on as a titleist instead of just Williams punching bag.
Instead of just a guest.
I don't think it was just Stu. I'm just saying.
No, Stu is nice to him.
Yeah,
no, it's cool. It's I've since being home, I've gotten to do a couple of these and talk about everything. And it seems now I've got two things to talk about. People come up to me last night and they're like, "Hey man, congrats!" And I'm like, "Which one are they talking about? Talking about Sweden or are you talking about the baby?" So it's pretty cool. I'm still trying to get it all to kind of come down and find the words or the feeling of it. And then, right after on top, we go right to the league and we get to do the team thing. So really looking forward to that. I love the team stuff and that format and that environment at Bayside is so much fun. I look forward to it every year. So yeah, it's been cool talking about the win, talking about the baby, having a baby boy. So I'm so happy. But I would have been happy regardless. As long as Allie's healthy and the baby's healthy and everything is good. But yeah, it's so cool. And love being on with you guys. Pleasant surprise with Lynda being on here and not Stu. Sorry, Stu, if you're listening. Sorry, buddy.
You know how happy we are for you. Congratulations on both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just love the moments, man. They go quick.
Yeah, enjoy them. They don't come often enough, and they don't last long enough. But well, I guess we got a last minute super chat. So, a Arsenal question: Jim Nova Exponent C300 Speed Game Breaker ASIM Vibe Radioactive C300 Chaos Black. The Chaos. Spare ball. What motive ball do I get?
The one ball that I always tell everyone if they've never thrown a motive ball is the Venom Shock.
Venom Shock.
Yeah. Even I could have said that.
Yeah, and it actually fits inside this lineup too.
Yeah,
most everything is bigger. The Nova or the Exponent's the closest thing to it, but they're not. I don't think they'll stand on top of each other.
No, I think the Exponent, from what I've seen, is a little earlier than the Venom. The Venom is it's that middle of the road kind of staple. First ball out of the bag sometimes. But the one thing that I really like about that ball that I don't think gets talked about a lot is the cover. You put surface on it, you bring it closer to you, it smooths it out. and makes it a little bit of a bigger symmetric ball. But as it gets lane shine, it gets cleaner and quicker down lane. So then it kind of almost becomes a little bit, it becomes a little bit further down the ball list, and something that you can use a little bit more throughout a block. And I think that's why myself and EJ and the Motive guys really like that ball, because of the versatility of it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the question, 3Gs. Hopefully that answers. The Venom Shock is, it's been around for 10 years for a reason. So
that's for sure.
So Lynda filling in for Stu is a great perspective.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, I know.
Lynda with a Y.
Yeah.
Thank you, but Lynda with a Y.
Well, there you have it. PBA titleist AAJJ, and all the A's and all the J's. Very clever. I liked it. Yeah. So we will be back Thursday, I believe. So same time, same channel. And so until next time, please support the sponsors that support us: Storm, Rotogrip, Niner Global, Coolwick, Bowler Smart, Fire Lake Mowing Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you guys.